Some of this stuff here and all that. Oh my God, that's heavy. That's good, just right there. The strangest story ever told was how I got to be this old. At the close of World War II, my folks did the deed that the young folks do. In 46, out I came. This world would never be the same. I don't know why, I'm not sure how. I made it here to the here and the now. That's the sing-along part. He don't know why, he's not sure how. He made it here. He made it here to the here and now. Okay, if you don't do this well, we're going to do Kumbaya. I'm just warning you right now. In the 1950s, I was just a kid. I did all the kid stuff all you people did. I rode a bike, I threw a ball. Childhood, yeah, I got through it all. The 60s came, I got my zits. The girls were scary and the parents the pits. I don't know why, I'm not sure how. I made it here to the here and the now. Let me hear you. He don't know why, he's not sure how. He made it here. He made it to the here and the now. Hey! In the 70s, I made it big. Skunk time, fame, and wealth, you did. I took a wife, we had some kids. Screwed that up and then went on the skids. In the 80s, I started me a brand new life. I had another kid, I took another wife. I don't know why, I'm not sure how. I made it here to the here and the, come on, here don't, I can't hear you. He made it. In the 1990s, there I went again. Made me a few more female friends. Then sure enough, from heaven was sent yet another wife, another blessed event. It's the 21st century and I'm downright old. My seed's been spent and my loins are cold. It all makes sense, the why and the how. Soon I'll be out of here, the here and the now. Hey! All makes sense, the why and the how. I'll be out of here, that's the here and the now. Some incredible singing. Beautiful thing, yeah. Okay, I'm going to shoot some heroin now before we do the next song. May I have the hypodermic needle, please? This is about, the song's called Dead Man, about going through the, my dad used to live on the Upper West Side in New York, and went through closets one day. I got a dead man's ride and a dead man's reel, a dead man's tuxedo with a lived-in feel, at a dead man's desk, in a dead man's chair. No, I ain't but I'm getting there. From a dead man's closet I got a dead man's belt, a pair of bedroom slippers, worn out was how they felt, and an old tweed jacket, patched elbows, dress rehearsal in a dead man's clothes. Yeah, I walked a mile in a dead man's shoes, paid off the dead man's debts and all his union dues, slept with a dead man's widow, took in a dead man's kid. Whatever I could was all I did. Pants with a dead man's shirt, tried all of it on, hell it couldn't hurt. Clothes make the man, so it's been said, but a man sports a shroud when he's buried in his dead. I tried a dead man's hat on and it hurt my head, replayed an ongoing message, the last words he said. Got a dead man's watch, ain't no big crime, I ain't dead yet, I got a little more time. I read a dead man's will, I cashed a dead man's check, I tied a dead man's necktie around my neck. I wrecked a dead man's car, I sank a dead man's boat, I said a dead man's prayer into the dead man wrote. Played a dead man's guitar, I sang a dead man's song. I guess you're all starting to wonder, how long will this go on? It's almost over when it's sung, done and said. I'll sleep, dream and die in a dead man's bed. A lot of the new material is about death and decay. It's my favorite topic now. Of course, it used to be shitty love relationships. I do have a song, however, that is a combination of those two motifs. Death and decay meet shit love. I went to the morgue today to see you. I knew you'd end up there right from the start. The coroner, he told me you died from natural causes, a guilty conscience and a broken heart. You should have thought about our sacred marriage, the vows we made, the promise ne'er to part. The tag they tied to your big toe, it tells the awful story. Guilty conscience and a broken heart. A guilty conscience and a broken heart. You sure got your comeuppance for your crime. Yeah. Guilty conscience and a broken heart. That combination does it every single time. Now you're dead, it's too late to be sorry. You made a move that wasn't very smart. Little did you know that when you dumped me, you gotta go take off your tail. They pulled back the sheet and I ID'd you. Seeing you so blue gave me a start. Then they slid your body back into the deep freeze. Now you got a frozen broken heart. I guilty conscience and a broken heart. You sure got your comeuppance for your crime. Guilty conscience and a frozen broken heart. That combo platter does it every single time. Hot legs, yes. Lukewarm legs. Death and Decay means shit love. Got some family material for you. Seen family photos, and the man's a mystery. Died in 1942 at the age of 43. My grandmother was a widow, and my father was a son. Oh, but I know next to nothing of the first Loudon. They say it was an SOB who liked to smoke and drink. In the photos he looks handsome, trapped is what I think. And there's one of him in uniform, and it must be World War I. They say he was an expert sailor and could handle a shotgun. In the wedding portrait, posing with his young bride, his right hand hidden by her bouquet, his left hanging at his side, closed in a kind of half fist, unsure what he'd just done. Facing his short future, like he could hit someone. His elbows off the table before the meal began. But it's his hands I recognize. He gave them to his son, whose own hands held and touched me and ruffled up my hair. And I recognize that half fist. I'd know it anywhere. Later on in the late 30s, he began to go to sea. In the photos, he looks loaded. They observe and I will heed, bugging for the camera, having a little fun. Cigarette in one hand, and a drink in the other one. Yes, I know a little something about the first Loudon. My grandmother was his widow, and my father was his son. Tell me, what are we afraid of, and why do we resist? I spread my hands and flex my fingers, open and close my fist. I spread my hands and flex my fingers, open and close my fist. mentioned my dad, and I'm going to, he's going to become part of the show tonight, in that, well, the name of my new CD is called Older Than My Old Man Now. Thank you for that smattering of applause. On sale here tonight, a great gift idea. I have a Sharpie. We're gonna have the big CD meet and greet. I'm dying to meet you. Of course we can talk. Briefly. Anyway, that last song, Half Fist, mentions my dad and his dad, and I'm kind of hung up about both of those people. And so I've started to actually, my dad was a journalist. He wrote for Life magazine in the 60s and 70s and 80s. He had a column there in a magazine called The View from Here. And a couple of years ago, I started rereading all these columns and was pretty knocked out by them. So I've started to kind of connect some of his work with some of mine. This is a little piece of a column that he wrote about his own dad, Loudon 1. He probably wrote this, my father wrote this probably around 1983. If I remain still, if I am alone and silent long enough to hear the sound of my own blood, or breathing, or digestion above the rustling of leaves, or the whir of the refrigerator, my father is likely to turn up. He just arrives unbidden in the long-running film of my thoughts like Hitchcock in his pictures, and he looks for all these 40-plus years of disembodiment, much like himself, big and sandy-haired with freckles on the backs of his hands, perhaps a bit more diffident in the way he holds himself than I remember. He doesn't stay long. As far as I can tell, his visits have no message, yet even though years of therapy have led me to make the dark, whistling claim that he's finally dead and gone, my father, who died when I was 17, continues to be my principal ghost, a lifelong eminence grise, and only my own end will finish it. Now you gotta need me. I feel like a faithless son. 64 is awful old. Yeah, you know what can happen next. Hey, I'm older than my old man ever was, and I'm trying to keep it in context. His father died at 43. From now on it's all gravy. I got 20 years more. Maybe I guess we'll have to wait and see. I wasn't sure the day would come. I've been living underneath his thumb. But I don't feel so free. I don't even feel like me. Now that there's no race left to run. Yeah, I'm older than my old man now. But just 'cause you survive, that don't mean you feel alive, and your demise will come to pass. Nobody's sure exactly why. Everybody's got to die. Still it comes as quite a blow, knowing you got to go and the world is gonna pass you by. Hey, oh, them old man now, trying to keep it in context. Not only older than my old man, hell I was, but I'm guilty, I've outlived my ex. Well, I was got a new song. I think I know it. I think I'll play it for you now. You know, when you write a lot about death and decay, you wonder, what am I going to write about next? I mean, so now I'm writing about alternate side of the street parking. You must. Do you have that here in Wilmington? Oh, yeah. Up in New York, we got it. We got it big time. For those of you who don't know, on certain days of the week, you have to vacate that side of the street with your car so that they can clean it. And you know, Mondays and Wednesdays, 11:30 to 1, you can't be parked there. And so it gets to be a frightening thing, really. All you do is think about it if you have a car in the city. So, and then there's this thing where in my neighborhood, I live in a part of town called the Upper West Side, and they have this thing called where you have to vacate. When the sweeper's coming, you can double park on the other side, and then you wait until the sweeper goes by, and usually the cop who's going to ticket people that are still there, and then you slide over. Technically, you're still illegal, but you sit in the car until 1 o'clock. So there's this whole kind of free song of, illegality and doing something bad, and yet getting a parking space. So. A space is a place, it's a beautiful thing. When I see one that's free, I want to sing. Squeezing into a tight one, such pleasure can bring. Spaces and places, beautiful thing. Sometimes you find a space and for it you must fight. Sometimes to find a space you drive around half the night. When folks take up a space and a half, that's not right. For it you must fight. When I see a space that I don't even need, there's a twinge of a feeling, it's akin to greed. It's a case of space envy, I'd say so indeed. When I see a space I don't even need, I still want that space. Mondays and Thursdays, 11:30 to 1, and cleaning the street, man, you're under the gun. Alternating, waiting, knowing it tons of fun. It's Monday and Thursday, 11:30 to 1. But in my part of town, the cops cast a blind eye. Folks double park till the sweeper goes by. Then they sit in that clean space, living a lie. In my part of town, cops cast a blind eye. And when the rules are suspended, it's too good to be true. Ash Wednesday, Abe's birthday, Passover too. Yeah, I love all their holy days, although I'm no Jew. Rules are suspended, it's too good to be true. Asian Lunar New Year too. Yeah! and a chrome steel and glass. It's nice to know that you can get out of town fast, but a car in the city is just a pain in the eye. When folks hear the word space, they think of the moon, the stars, or the planet, or a Sun Ra tune. Me, I think where, when, what day, and how soon. A park here on Earth. The hell with the moon! Space is a place, it's a beautiful place. Backing into a new one, such pleasure can bring. And if you're vacating your space now, to thee I say, space is a place, it's a marvelous place, it's a meaningful place, it's a magical place, it's a beautiful sight. Space is a place that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. We don't believe in you-know-who, but we don't let the kids know it. We're parents who are grown-ups. There's a line, we have to toe it. But we're part of a conspiracy about this bearded big fat guy who never lived, who isn't real, who's old but doesn't die. We went to the department store, we climbed on that limb, we told the kids it was you-know-who. We said that bum was him. Then we placed him on his knee. To me, the knee seemed rather bony. Happily, they sat there, though, chatting with that phony. Told the kids we could provide the proof. The deceit. How I hate it. We put out the milk and cookies. Yes, I admit, I drank and ate it. Then that fib about the North Pole, as if any elves could live there. We helped to write and send that letter, knowing full well it went nowhere. You-know-who comes down the chimney. How could such a fat man fit? The whole thing is preposterous, yet we get children to buy it. We have no shame. The lies pile up. You'd think at least we'd balk when we sing of red-nosed reindeer and snowmen who dance and talk. Well, it's just a harmless story, a fairy tale, some Christmas fun. Not unlike that other theory. The one about God's Son, where angels talk to shepherds, wise men troop after a star, and a virgin has a baby. Boy, that's fetched pretty far. But we adults buy that conspiracy. We toe and swallow that old line. Disappearing milk and cookies. What about that bread and wine? It's enough to make you hesitate. It's enough to give you pause. Perhaps it's just as crucial. Kids believe in you-know-who. Suddenly it's Christmas, right after Halloween. Forget about Thanksgiving, it's just a buffet in between. There's lights and tinsel in the windows, they're stocking up the shelves. Santa's slaving at the North Pole in his sweatshop full of elves. There's got to be a build-up to the day that Christ was born. The halls are decked with pumpkins and ears of Indian corn, dragging through the falling leaves in a one-horse open sleigh. Suddenly it's Christmas, 7 weeks before the day. Suddenly it's Christmas, the longest holiday. The season is upon us. It won't go away. It's a season. It's a marathon. Retail eternity. It's not over till it's over and you throw away the tree. Outside it's positively balmy, in the air nary a nip. Suddenly it's Christmas, unbutton and unzip. Yes, they're working overtime, Santa's little runts. Christmas comes but once a year and goes on for 2 months. Christmas carols in December and November too. It's no wonder we're depressed when the whole thing is through. Finally it's January, let's sing Old Lang Syne. But here comes another heartache, shaped like a valentine. Suddenly it's Christmas, the longest holiday. The season is upon us, a pox, it won't go away. It's a season, it's a marathon, retail eternity, and it's not over till it's over and you throw away the tree. No, it's not over till it's over and you throw away the. It's still not over till it's over and you throw away the tree. But you're right in the holiday mood, huh? I want to do something my dad wrote in 1965. There comes a time for me on Christmas when the holiday changes suddenly, when the event like a fall season is past its peak of color and excitement and the day begins to sink. The precise moment may vary, but it is most likely to arrive before the turkey is done and when the litter of gift-giving remains. At our house, we burn this gaudy trash in the fireplace, and I always feel a certain reluctance at throwing the long strands of red ribbon and the crumpled pieces of shiny wrapping paper into the flames. Somehow the best, often the most personal part of giving, curls to ash in the fire, and the gifts themselves, the games, the gloves, the toys, the ties, the what is it from Aunt Betty, all placed in piles according to ownership, take on the anonymity of loot. At such moments, I am the victim of a curious mixture of disappointment. What made her think I would like that terrible color? And guilt. Just think of all the people that really need these things. And I begin to look forward eagerly to the wine. I wish, in short, that Christmas had never come. But I have weathered too many Christmases to be surprised at the letdown, and I don't really think it can be attributed to the usual complaints about the season. Indeed, there is crass commercialization, some of the greeting cards are awful, and the shabby Santa Clauses come out too soon. There is, too, the hysteria of shopping in time to the amplified tinkling of sleigh bells. And there is even a limit to the number of times one can tearfully respond to those crutch-propelled twins of Christmas, Tiny Tim and Amal. But these are all mere nitpicks, and I always hope that this year the magic will not diminish. Still, it does. And I think the reason for it rests in the fact that Christmas is not so much a holiday as it is an annual crisis of love. We must somewhere suffer its effects. That it is just such a crisis seems obvious when one considers the sheer emotional baggage of the day. It is a frightfully heavy load, and it increases with the years. Among other things, our expectations for our own behavior seem extraordinarily high at this time. We expect ourselves to be cheerful and generous on Christmas, even though we may have been getting no practice in these areas for the rest of the year. Under such pressure, it is no surprise to me to hear that reformed drunks have celebrated Christmas by plunging off the wagon, and that Yuletide gaiety is sometimes marred by bitter, even violent family quarrels, with expectations so high it is almost impossible not to fail, at least just a little bit. The most successful Christmases are enjoyed by people 3 or 4 years old. They understand what's going on well enough to look forward to something big and juicy. Everyone they love is offering them lots of attention, and the presents are a grab bag of dazzling surprises. If little things go wrong around them, they don't notice. After those early years, though, it gets tougher. Disappointments of Christmas, disappointments of love become tangible. I can remember, or think I can, the year Santa Claus was unfrocked. Out for a walk on a bitter cold December 24th afternoon, I saw him, the sleigh, the reindeer, the whole outfit in a bunch of clouds near the horizon where the sun was setting. Thrilled by this hallucination of hope, I must have slept badly, for that night I woke with the door to my bedroom being softly opened. Now this did not alarm me, because at our house, Santa Claus was expected to provide room service with the stockings while everything else was stacked under the tree downstairs. When my parents crept in with the stocking, I pretended to be asleep. My disappointment at this sudden understanding of the huge Christmas hoax was very sharp. My mother and father, not Santa Claus, were the frauds. On a much later occasion, I bought a bicycle for one of my sons, who had years earlier survived the Santa Claus crisis. I had found a very good second-hand one in a bike shop, and congratulating myself on a big saving, repainted it. Naturally, the boy was instantly aware that his present had a past. And though he thanked me gamely, it was clear he was astounded that I thought he would ever be interested in good, safe, albeit previously owned transportation. It's just what I wanted. Seems to me a hideously ambiguous expression of Christmas gratitude. It covers a multitude of meanings, and it is especially inadequate when it reflects the truth. As a matter of fact, one of the hardest things in the Christmas crisis of love can be giving or getting something that is really wanted. To see a member of my family actually moved by something I have given fills me with a feeling approaching alarm. I want to confess, oh, it's not so good. It's not nearly as nice as the thing I should have got you. It doesn't tell you at all how I feel. And my own gratefulness at finding exactly the right thing under the wrappings is laced somehow with a kind of chagrin. On second thought, that feeling seems to say, why should I have what I want? I should not be loved so much. Still, I would not suggest changing any of it. Families need the annual Christmas crisis. More than any other time, it forces people to expose themselves and their feelings to those who are the very closest. If there's too much tension in it, it's too bad. We have nonetheless connected. For the letdown period, some will find it easing to read the old story from Luke. Others might prefer to go outside and see if that toy airplane will really fly. Creature of the habits of a lifetime, I will do next week as I've always done and lurch through the festivities and duties leading up to the big day. My list of wants this year is small and can readily be tampered with. Some Mozart records, some books, and if Santa listens, some longish socks. I've already started shopping for my family, and I've discovered a splendid toy I cannot possibly buy. It is a stuffed baby elephant, exactly the size of a real baby elephant, and it costs $475. I'm sure my daughter will survive not having it, and I hope that the child who does get it will understand that it is being given with love. Speaking of daughters. Everything she sees, she says she wants. I see she gets. That's my daughter in the water. Everything she owns I bought her. Everything she owns. That's my daughter in the water. Everything she knows I taught her. Everything she knows. I say she takes to heart everything she takes apart. That's my daughter in the water. Every time she fell I caught her. Every time she fell. That's my daughter in the water. Every time I fought her, yeah, I lost every time. Strike somebody blind. Everything she thinks blows her tiny mind. That's my daughter in the water. Who'd have ever thought her? Who'd have ever thought? That's my daughter in the water. I lost every time I fought her. Yeah, every time. Song. There's a new dance craze sweeping the land. First you get out of bed, then you attempt to stand. You get out of bed, get to your feet. You got to just stand there, you can't retreat. Now here comes the hard part, here's the bad news. You got to bend over and put on your shoes. Over in the bed lies your sleeping wife, snoring like a sailor, she's the love of your life. But that woman is a martyr and you know it's true. Who the hell else would put up with you? You got a brand new dance and it goes like this. You wake up in the morning and look into the abyss. Take a look! Song and I sing it every day. I got a new smell, it's called the old man, a new taste sensation. I say it was bland, that senior discount, that's my kind of treat. When I get on the bus, you got to give me your seat. Flood stage and the woods are on fire. We got to turn a page, so we stagger to the table to get something to eat. We drink a little coffee, then we go have a seat. Read the business section up there on your throne. Got a brand new dance and you do it alone. Don't just sit there. Do something. Shake a tail up. Get you some work. It's a little like the monkey, a lot like the jerk. It's a chicken and the pony and the frog and the slop. You got a brand new dance, you wish it would stop. You'd rather be a working stiff than a lazy slob. But shout out now, can't get you a job. Hey, hallelujah, it's election time. You vote in a booth, you form a big boss line. It's the same old song, same old dance, and the same long shot on the same slim chance. One of them fools is bound to win, and it's the same old bullshit all over again. And the new dance craze, sweeping the land, but you get out of bed and you attempt to stand. You get out of bed, you get to your feet, you got to just stand and you can't retreat. Now here comes the hard part, here's the bad news. You got to bend over and put on your shoes. Brand new dance. I mentioned living on the Upper West Side there of New York. Lived there with my wife Rita and our dog Harry. When a man has a dog in the city, then a man needs to walk in the park. Take a little stroll by the riverside, smoke a cigarette there in the dark, living in the city. Man living with a dog. And a man has to carry him a plastic bag on his person at all times. When a dog dumps on the sidewalk, walking away is a crime, living in the city. Man walking with a dog. A man likes living in the city, but a man has to find some work. Walking with a dog is a kind of a job, make you feel like a fool and a jerk living in the city. Working like a dog. A dog likes living in the city, and the city there's a lot of other mutts. Checking in front, checking in back, no ifs, no ands, just butts, living in the city. Dog checking out a dog. It's a pretty good way to meet a woman. If a woman is walking her dog, just say, what's her name? How old is she? It's easy like rolling off a log, checking out a woman. Man acting like a dog. When a man has a fight with a woman, a man needs to go for a walk. Walking with a dog is easy. He listens, he don't talk. Talking to a dog. Talk to me. Walking with a dog in the winter, in the wind, in the rain, in the snow is a drag. It's hard as hell to keep the cigarette lit and get the shit in the plastic bag. Living in the city. Man living with a dog. When a man has a dog in the city, then a man needs to walk in the park. Take a little stroll by the riverside, smoke a cigarette there in the dark, living in the city. Man living with a dog. In 1972, there was a big hit movie called Love Story. Remember that? Ryan O'Neal and Ally McGraw, based on a book by Eric Siegel called Love Story. This is a column that my dad wrote called Another Sort of Love Story. Wrote it in 1972. Right in the middle of a long New Year's weekend full of bright weather on lovely snow and a numbing succession of televised quarterbacks, our dog died. Or, to put it absolutely straight, after a family agreement rare in its unanimity, we had his life stopped by a veterinarian who agreed it was the right thing to do for such a painfully and fatally ill animal. His name was John Henry, but I'm not sure why we'd called him that. I don't think I've ever been more sharply aware of the fine line between here and gone than I was near the end when I held him close on the vet's table. The kind doctor, her eyes floating in tears because she knew him and us, pumped something bluish into his leg, and with the calm, open-eyed patience that characterized so much of his style, he waited that briefest moment until it struck his center and killed him. A couple of polite gasps, and it was over. Slightly undone by my sentiment, and for some wild reason remembering not Lassie, but Love Story, and the astounding communicative success of Eric Siegel, I will risk a version of his opening question. What can you say about an 11-and-a-half-year-old dog that died? That he was at least as beautiful as Ally McGraw, and dumber, and a messier eater. That he ran shining and marvelously fast through fields and rolled snorting in snow and floated a burnt auburn blur over stone walls. That he didn't much mind Mozart and Bach, but that harmonica solos and violins made him howl. That he could destroy 6 glasses with one sweep of his tail. That when I would ask him how he ranked me among the people he liked, he would thump his tail against the floor and grin, occasionally punctuating that with a noise that became a smell. But he was half Irish setter and half golden retriever, and his manners were predictably imperfect. There was a totally non-human quality in his loving. Virtually everyone was a target for his affection, and unlike your one-man brute who will slobber over his master's hand and then dismember the neighbor's child, he menaced nothing, including the rabbits he chased and never got, and the skunks who always got him. Not that he was indiscriminating, he was not a tramp, he did not follow strangers, he was a wide-ranging country dog, but his daily investigations Most always brought him home at night. He liked to sleep on rugs, usually where it was convenient to stumble over him. He liked to ride in cars, best. He liked to be invited along on walks, and he worked like a roving scout around the walker, in front, behind, alongside, often at a dead run a good distance away. And when he rested in winter during one of these wonderful dashes in all directions, he would break ice in his stream to cool his belly and his tongue. Although he was forced to live with a succession of cats, I don't think he liked them at all. Yet in most moods but joy, he was a model of understatement. The weary and wary tolerance he displayed at the cats' rude spitting or at their hit-and-run assaults from ambush beneath a chair was the closest he ever came to expressing real distaste. Obviously, we can't be sure about his relationships with other dogs. He probably had wet down every bark or bush within a radius of 3 miles, but he didn't seem to care much for groups, preferring instead to run alone or with just one other at a time. He was alert and forward, but not aggressive, and though his hair bristled splendidly and he growled well when challenged, he had a distinct aptitude for avoiding fights and could walk away from one with a casualness that implied it wouldn't be worth his trouble. In his late years, he was treated roughly by a much younger dog down the road, but he accepted this indignity in a way that wasn't cowardly, as if it were in the normal order of things that the puppy he had earlier taught to play was now bouncing him around quite badly. Even when he was very old and feeble, he always came out to protect his station. I hope he had a full and happy sex life. But I only know of one affair. It was arranged and he fathered a litter from it. His partner in this matter was a female dog from a household of good friends. She too was sweet and easygoing and looked as if she more or less came from a similarly mixed background. We tell a story about this match. I'm no longer sure if it's entirely true. But the story goes, oblivious to approaching delight, he was taken by a car to the vet's for one supervised meeting. Afterward, the vet said he felt sure everything had gone well, but perhaps for insurance, the two should be brought together again the next day. So, the next day our dog was put in the car and driven to his appointment, which was once more declared a success. The affair was pronounced consummated and closed. The dog came home. The following morning he was found ready in the car. Presumably awaiting another trip and another meeting. Unlike Siegel's doomed creature, this one wasn't perfect. Now and then his taste in food would turn to garbage. He upset many cans in search of the ripest morsels. He dug holes in lawns. He liked to sprawl on young plants. He was a discoverer of mud. When he found something, often invisible and even non-existent to bark at, he barked hard and utterly ignored commands to stop it and come the hell home. I'm proud of one area of his ignorance. He knew no tricks at all. Unless you count a sort of half-baked paw shake he employed as a last effort in his perpetual and never-ending search for affection. In his last days, he had great difficulty getting up. He tottered weakly on 3 legs and was dreadfully thin. The pain, even muffled with drugs, was leaving him stupid with exhaustion, and it became clear past all reluctance that what he needed most was a push out of life. Briefly, I had the outlandish and conventional idea of doing it myself, and so did one of my sons, who likely loved the dog the most. Then with her potion that struck with such shocking and merciful speed, the doctor ended our nonsense. That night I dreamed that my son kept calling him. The boy had a way of calling that dog. I woke. Life gets to be a series of dogs. I think, and I ticked off those I could remember. Ghosts in the house suddenly. Old dogs. When I slept and woke again, it was cold half-light. I was almost sure I could hear the dog's toenails against the hall floor and his single, discreet bark to go outside. I won't live with a lot more dogs, and I won't live with another dog like him. I spent the earlier part of today in Middletown, Delaware. And I know that there are some folks here tonight who, I went to this, not only I, but my father went to this boarding school over there called St. Andrews. He graduated in 1942, and I was in the class of 65. And the very first song on my very first record, which was recorded in 1969, God, that's right, so 4 years after I graduated, is this song about that place and my time there. In Delaware, when I was younger, I would live a life obscene. In the spring I had great hunger. I was Brando, I was Dean, blaspheming booted blue jean baby boy. Oh, how I made them turn their heads. The towny brownie girls, they jump for joy. Begged me bless them in their beds. In Delaware, when I was younger, I would row upon the lake. In the spring I had great hunger. I was Keats, I was Blake. My pimple pencil paint I'd bring to frogs who sat in trance. My drift dream ditties I would sing. The water strider dance. In Delaware, when I was younger, they thought St. Andrew had sufficed. In the spring I had great hunger. I was Buddha, I was Christ. You wicked wise men, where's your wonder? You Pharisees, one day will pay. See my lightning, hear my thunder.
school days. I wanted to sing a song from the new album, in hopes of stimulating sales. Your pal, Loudon. Wow. And not only do I have CDs, check this out. Man, I was ripped in 1976. Vinyl. Can you imagine the excitement around the Christmas tree when somebody opens this up and goes, wow, who's that guy? I never heard of him. What is this? Now, I mentioned that the Death and Decay motif is the principal force on the new CD, Older Than My Old Man Now, and this song is on the album, and it is it's pandering to you, my demographic. It's dark, but I know you're out there. And it's called My Meds. Every drug mentioned in this song I'm either on or will be taking later this evening. My meds. Lipitor tore up my tendon, that was no damn good. So now I'm taking Crestor, cause the doctor said I could. Cut back on the Avodardins every other night. Lorazepam for those occasions when I'm wound too tight. Sure, Lexapro has cheered me up so much so I don't cry. Or get it up so I might give some Wellbutrin a try. Girl, I swore off Cialis, I'm no longer in the mood. 4 hours at attention, man, that could kill a dude. They say Ambien's okay long as you don't drive in your sleep. If you operate machinery, pray the Lord your soul to keep. Be aware that Vesicare can cut down on the trips. You make the tinkle in the night plus subsequential drips. Eardrops, eye drops, nose drops, cause dried up's the shape I'm in. It's like I need an oil can, I'm like that man of tin. Ice packs and heat patches for my aching knees and back, and that little baby aspirin to ward off my heart attack. Check it out. I went down to Chinatown, the herbalist was there. I got some tea that tasted like a trucker's underwear. Those acupuncture needles, no, they don't hurt a bit. In point of fact, those acupuncture needles don't do shit. I should buy a Thai massage and get a few good hugs. Instead, I head to the drugstore and cop my load of drugs. When I was a little kid, I never popped no pills. Just a Band-Aid and Mercurochrome could cure most of my ills. Clonopin's a controlled substance, so I bum from my wife. If the side effects don't kill me, all my meds might save my life. I quit drinking, smoking, red meat, dairy, and caffeine. I'm not quite high on life, just slightly dead, know what I mean? I even asked the doctor, Doc, how long could this go on? He said, son, you're out to pasture. Your next stop is Forest Lawn. Yeah. You'll need something stronger than your Advil and a leave. If you want to eat and sleep and crap and stuff and breathe. If you want to eat and sleep and crap and piss and stuff and breathe. can't remember anything that was written before 1984. I'm sorry.
But things, you know, it's been kind of a, at least my part of the program has been kind of dad-driven. So I'll do a mom thing, I'll slide into the mom motif. Mother liked her white wine when she was alive. She was desperate to live, but her limit was 5. Carefully I'd kiss her, send her off to bed. We always stuck to white wine, we stayed away from red. Always stick to white wine, stay away from Mother liked her white wine. She'd have a glass or 2 almost every single night after her day was through. Sancerre, Chardonnay, Chablis, Pinot Grigio, just to take the edge off, just to get the glow. Got to take the edge off if you wanna get. Mother liked her white wine, she'd have a glass or 3. We'd sit out on the screen porch, white winos, Mom and me. We'd talk about her childhood, recap my career. When we got to my father, that's when I'd switch to beer. We got to the old man and I'd always switch. Mother liked her white wine, she'd have a glass of 4. Each empty bottle a dead soldier, the marriage was the war. When we blurred the edges, when we drank a lot, that's when I got nervous, when the glow got hot. I always get nervous when the glow gets. I still like my white wine, and I'll have a glass or 2. When I'm down, I'll drink some whiskey. It's something I shouldn't do. Every now and then I'll take a drop of red. When I'm with a woman that I want to take to bed. When I'm with a woman that I want to take. Mother liked her white wine when she was alive. And she was desperate to live, but her limit was 5. Carefully I'd kiss her and send her off to bed. Thank God we stuck to white wine and we stayed away from Mother liked her white wine.
White winos, thank you very much.
This is just the tail end of the last column that my dad wrote, which was in 1988. He'd been diagnosed in 1985 with colon cancer, and he knew that something was coming. So in 1988 he was getting close, and this column actually came out in December of that year. Actually, his birthday would have been tomorrow, so I want to finish this little piece of this last one. This one's called Mad About Maps. Maps are just excuses for the journeys they set us on. I remember one glorious summer in Maine, perhaps 15 years ago. I used to wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, have coffee, make a couple of sandwiches for me and my wife, and just set out.
There was no great plan. I had it roughly in mind to follow every little road leading down to the sea from Deer Isle, northeast a couple of 100 miles to Campobello, where Maine turns into Canada. Map in hand, I would cover that huge piece of terrain, and it was even better than I hoped. We saw hundreds of little communities we might have sped past otherwise. East Machias, Jonesport, Beals Island, and each somehow developed its own character as we approached in this way. One amazing morning, we drove down a little road until the fog was so thick, we simply couldn't go any further. We sat silent for perhaps half an hour in that gray dampness. Then suddenly, the fog lifted, and we found ourselves in the shining little port of Cutler. We could never have seen it under such exquisite circumstances. To appreciate it the way we did, we had to fail first to see it in the fog. My connection with maps is a little distant these days. Much as I'd like to plan for some good coastal trips, I'm not really up for them. The possibility of other trips, more engulfing intrudes, and I am unsettled by possible destinations. As much as I think I'm ready for anything, I'm not really ready to accept all possibilities yet. I'm not ready to see where all the roads come to an end. But the old trips still give pleasure. I feel joy at the bright sunshine in Cutler. And I know it as well as if I saw it this morning. Something's out to get me. Something's on my trail. Something like that bird dog running down that quail. Maybe it's that hellhound baying for my soul. Something's out to get me, and something's on a roll. Nothing used to get to me when I was young and strong. My foolish ways were wicked, yet I could do no wrong. I thought I was immortal, immunized from my own sin. Nothing used to get to me, and now something's moving in. Life's like an elevator, at least that's what I have found. You push a lot of buttons, but what goes up comes down. Getting old might make you wiser, like they say it should. But getting old's just getting old, and old ain't much damn good. There's a limit on the time you get to stick around. Book a table in a restaurant, but you can't sit there all night. There's another party waiting, and the maitre d's uptight. Something is relentless, like an ocean wave. Got to take it lying down from the cradle to the grave. But if there's one small comfort, one thing I know is true, that's something out to get me,
is out to get you too.